and welcome to our special show exposing cross-border terrorism, India's global outreach. Following the heinous terror attack in Pahalgam, where 26 civilians were killed, and then Operation Sindoor, where India destroyed terror bases across the border in Pakistan, India then sent across the world delegations of MPs and prominent personalities, diplomats, leaders across party lines to send India's united message and narrative how we have been a victim of cross-border terrorism for decades and project our resolute approach to combating terrorism in all forms and manifestations. The 7 delegations carry to the world the country's message of zero tolerance against terrorism. Well, to talk more about India's diplomatic effort, we're now joined in studio by Dr. Vikram Singh Sahney, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, who was part of the delegation that travelled to countries like South Africa, Ethiopia, Egypt and Qatar to put across India's point of view. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program today. And Dr. Sahney, if you could tell us what was the core objective of your 4-nation visit, this diplomatic mission that was sent out as a part of Operation Sindoor?
After the heinous terrorist attack in Pahalgam on April 22nd, where innocent tourists were profiled basis of their religion and were brutally murdered in front of their families. And this was owned by the Resistance Front, a proxy of Lashkar-e-Taiba, a Pakistan-based terrorism organization. So it was very imperative for India to launch a global diplomatic outreach, because our Operation Sindoor was conceived to present the truth to the international community. It was very focused, calibrated, non-escalatory against the state-sponsored terrorism from across the border. And we like Qatar being strategic sensing power of the Middle East, South Africa partner in South-South cooperation as part of BRICS, and Ethiopia being the headquarters of African Union, and Egypt being the oldest civilization and linked to the Arab-Africa world. So our outreach to these 4 nations were aimed at building solidarity, exposing the neighbors' duplicity and conveying that India reserves the right to defend its sovereignty.
Right, sir. So you interacted with the, senior officials and representatives in these countries, as you said, in Qatar, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Egypt. If you could tell us, what was their response to the message that you were carrying across?
No, I must say that the response was very encouraging. Each of the 4 countries expressed empathetic condemnation of the Pahalgam terrorist attack, because all these nations which we visited have historic ties with India, and they acknowledged and shared our pain, kept 1 minute silence. South Africa and India share the Gandhi Mandela legacy of non-violence. Egypt and India have the historical fond remembrances of Nehru and Nasser friendship, of non-aligned movement. Qatar being one of the most powerful country in Middle East, playing a very balancing and equilibrium role. Ethiopia being the headquarters of African Union, they recognize the gravity of threat posed by the cross-border terror, and we witnessed the shared empathy and alignment of our desire for global peace and security. Almost in all the meetings, they observed 1 minute silence to pay tributes to the killing of innocents and this barbaric attack. And all of them agreed that in today's geopolitics, terrorism cannot be contained and confined in one region. If it happens in one region, you have seen there will be geopolitics and some countries supporting and all that. So it has to be stemmed at the root level. And there was a consensus that terrorists have basically no religion. To give it a wheel of any particular religion is totally misnomer, and nobody is going to buy that. In fact, the African Union have very strong provisions against the terrorism, and we were very pleased to see that they have in the Act, Clause 7B, they have mentioned growing linkages between terrorism and transnational organized crime, having illicit financial flows, technological uses like satellite drones which were used here.
Yes.
And that same Article 7B of the Security and Peace Council of Africa, it also provides that if any African country does not contain the cross-border terrorism or terrorism in their own country, the African Union League forces can enter that African country. So this kind of zero tolerance we were very pleased to see, and I was remembering that this kind of strong act would have been passed in SARC if there was a SARC. But
Yes.
SARC was held hostage by one country, our neighboring country. So therefore, but we appreciated that they, African Union and all countries, have a zero tolerance among the terrorism with such strong legal provisions.
All right, sir. So if you could tell us a bit more, you've spoken about the visit that you made as a part of this delegation, a bit more about the interactions and conversations, especially regarding Pakistan, when, the whole messaging that you were sending across was about cross-border terrorism from Pakistan and how we have been a victim of it for decades.
No, because when they said that why not dialogue? Why not you sit together? So we had to we highlighted our long track record that whether you take 9/11, where Osama bin Laden was found, there. Then happened 26/11 Mumbai attacks. Fortunately, this Kazab got caught. What was his nationality? So and whatever happens in London or Paris blasts, you will always find some footprints in our neighboring country. So it doesn't require more proof. We also reminded them that our counterparts, that 55 Pakistan-based terrorists or individual or entities are listed and sanctioned by the United Nations under UNSC 1267 Monitoring Committee. So this is all there. And then we tried our best to engage them, if you speak of dialogue, but what we got in return is 26/11, the Chatti Singhpura where 36 were massacred, and then we had the Pathankot attack, Pulwama attack, and now Pahalgam attack. And you will recall that when Osama bin Laden was killed there,
Yes.
Hillary Clinton had remarked, quote, that you cannot nurture snakes in your backyard and expect that they will not bite you. So Pakistan's own foreign minister, you must have seen on BBC or some channel, he admitted that, we have been doing this dirty job for 20, 30 years, but at the behest of West. He named the countries, US, UK. And 2 months before the Pahalgam attack, Maxar Technologies, a US space tech company, received orders from our neighboring country for the satellite images of the close to Pahalgam and its surrounding areas. So what more proof the world wants? We made all our stakeholders and visiting dignitaries about long history of terror.
Right, sir. So you spoke about regional cooperation and SARC and, how SARC, it's an effort led by India, but these initiatives have failed. And so what can you say about the role Pakistan played in the failure of this regional cooperation?
No, India always believed in regional cooperation. And I was chair of SARC CCI for about 8 years. And I've seen firsthand how India pushed for trade, for transit, connectivity. We got, that time Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, we got free visas, travel. We had a SARC visa exemption sticker. India issued 5,000 stickers to our Pakistani fellows, the businessmen, the artists, because common people are the same. Common people, they also want peace. They are also fed up with this minuscule fringe elements. We opened Wagha Atari border. I was there at integrated check post. The trade was going on. When we made World Punjabi Organization, that time I.K. Gujral ji sent us that we should have friendship with Pakistan. We used to go every Basant there, Kuldeep Nayyar ji, Bishan Bedi, and a whole lot of people. And so this is the problem, that we have really tried to develop a friendship, a social economic bondage, especially among the both Punjabs. But if our every effort of friendship has to be reciprocated by perpetrators and cross-border terrorism, it cannot be one-way traffic. So how long this can continue? Like Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, 1999 in February he took a friendship bus.
Yes, of
and
course.
there was a big function at Sher-e-Punjab Maharaja Ranjit Singh fort. I happened to be there. There was Lahore Declaration and the promises were made of the bonhomie and this and that. You know, the fervor, Punjabi fervor was at its peak. But what happened? We came back. Within 3 months,
Kargil.
you had a Kargil attack. And India had shown a great magnanimity. After 1971 war, we gave back to them 13,000 square kilometer land. You know, when they had the formation of Bangladesh, we gave back 93,000 soldiers under Shimla Agreement. So India has always shown a big heart. But the trade and terror cannot go together.
All right. So now returning to Operation Sindoor has been described as a calibrated, non-escalatory military response. So how did you convey this to the global audience that India's action was within the framework of the UN Charter and targeted only the terror infrastructure?
No, India acted in self-defense because this attack happened on 23rd, 24th May. We waited that maybe they will, because what happened, one more thing, that the resistance front owned the responsibility. Then the Pakistan, our neighboring country, tried to remove their reference in the United Nations. So if they were disowning TRF, why did our neighboring country try to block them, to try to make it sure that the reference is not put in UNSC? That means there is some linkage. And India has a right to act in self-defense. And Operation Sindoor was not a revenge, it was a responsibility. And we struck 9 identified terror training sites, which I am told are Bahawalpur, Muridke, Muzaffarabad. All these are part of those 55 listed sites. And importantly, India did not target a single civilian location. Whereas you have seen in case of them, there were thousands of drones and so much panic, mostly in the border areas, Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, where our civilians were in panic, border, not able to sleep and blackouts. So I don't know what was, India's measure was very, very targeted, non-escalatory, and for the terrorist camp. Like Punjab, we have 550 kilometers of international border. It was almost an atmosphere of panic and anxiety in all the border districts, and you saw there were some casualties of things. So this was the basic. We were able to explain directly, and all the countries appreciated that we have come and we have explained them the correct narrative. We have to set the narrative correct.
No, absolutely. And if we talk more about India's efforts following the attack that took place in Pahalgam, the Indus Water Treaty, this is considered, you know, a symbol of cooperation, and it's continued despite all the other aggressions that you've spoken about in the past, whether it be the Kargil war as well. But this time around, India has decided to keep the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. We're saying we're no longer going to, you know, be part of it, no longer going to be following it. And so your comments on that, the steps that India has now taken after this particular attack.
The Indus Treaty's preamble emphasizes the spirit of goodwill and friendship. So where is the spirit of goodwill and friendship? So they have violated the preamble of this treaty, number one. And also it is continuing persistent, you know, terrorism, cross-border terrorism. And also we should appreciate that the water dams which were designed under this treaty, they were done in 1950s. And India's economic development, becoming a 5 trillion economy, put together with the climate change which is happening. India have been requesting Pakistan for 7-8 years to have discussions on Indus Water Treaty, but we did not get any response. You will be surprised to know that there are only 2 canals in J&K, Ranbir Canal and I think Pratap Canal. 2 canals since independence India. Things have changed, climate change, our requirements, our the growing of economy, the agri economy. So we have been, they have not even come to the table. So India was forced, and because of this continuous terror attacks, and so India has just kept the treaty in abeyance. They have not cancelled it, so that they come on the table and we are able to put the addition, because now we want to make additional dam, we have to utilize the water resources for our part of India also. So therefore the engagement is very necessary, because now Jammu and Kashmir is also changing, its economic renaissance coming there. So therefore this has to be seen from a correct perspective, because so much have changed.
So coming back to the global outreach and the mission that you were a part of, this diplomatic outreach effort that India put up. So what were the main concerns that the global community had regarding India?
They were empathetic, but somewhere in their heart they know that this kind of activity, you know, is nurtured in Pakistan. They are convinced now, because they have been seeing 9/11, everything, few countries have even banned. And but some of the Arab countries had flagged about India's position, you know, on Palestine. And there was this kind of thing that maybe India is more closer to Israel at the cost of Palestine, which we clarified.
And a change in our historical position.
But now we clarified that India, you know, supports Oslo resolution, Oslo declaration, which purports the two-nation theory. We have been supporting a separate for Palestine right from Yasser Arafat days, and now currently we have given humanitarian aid of $40 million to Palestine, and still we are sending aid. We have criticized the killing of the women, children, anyhow, any kind of terror. Now also in the United Nations, whenever a resolution on Palestine has been moved, India have always supported. There were 13 resolutions moved in United Nations on Palestine. India voted in favor in 10. The 3 where India abstained, we did not oppose. We abstained just not because of Palestine, because they were concerning International Court of Justice, ICC, banning the trade. At League of Arab States, we were there, at think tanks in Middle East. We were able to clarify India's solidarity with Palestine people, and we want the war should end and they should have a peaceful solution on the territory, and we have always supported a two-nation theory.
All right. So, Dr. Sahney, now this, 4-nation trip that you made, all the 7 delegations are now back. What do you think now is the way forward in conclusion, if you could tell us?
No, I think this global outreach program, first I must appreciate the Government of India, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable External Affairs Minister. I think they had good foresightedness that they sent these delegations. And more important was that these delegations were headed by and constituents of these delegations were majority opposition MPs. This was very much appreciated by South Africa, we met ANC. So each country said, wow, this is a new thing, and they told their own parliament that we have to learn from this. Because we all went with one voice. One voice, one nation, zero tolerance to terrorism and to exposing the terrorism, how it is bothering India and how India is being driven against the wall. So I think this should continue. We should proactively engage in such diplomatic dialogue with the global world, and it should not stop, so that the truth we are able to show to them. Because this is a world of, again, narratives and whatever is shown on these social media and all that. So there are very false narratives were going on. And we should also organize, I think, more interfaith dialogue within the country and outside country, so that the countries outside don't have any inhibition about India's unity in diversity in pluralism, in pluralistic society, and we being a democratic socialist, and under which the preamble gives equal rights to everybody, and parliamentary delegations, friendship delegations, people to people contact in the changing geopolitics should be formed and should continue. I think this is the way forward to keep engaging with the world, because currently geopolitics emphasizes that we have to put our view forthwith and engage and continue to engage at various levels with Indian diaspora also, with social influencers, the public, the people who are opinion makers. So I think this kind of dialogue and outreach should continue. And we hope that good sense will prevail on our neighbors, and they will refrain from the cross-border terrorism, so that again we can resume trade and talks, and people, after all, neighbors have to co-stay. And I agree, war is not the answer to anything, and India is going to become a 5 trillion economy, and we don't aspire for the war, but we cannot tolerate also. If we are
As
driven, we have to act.
This is not
India
the time
has
for
the right
war.
to act
Yes.
for self-defense, but we don't aspire for war. We are a peace-loving country. This message was well delivered across the globe. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Vikram Singh Sahney, thank you. Always a pleasure to speak to you, and thank you for taking us through such great detail regarding India's global outreach, this diplomatic mission after Operation Sindoor. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.